double, double, talk that trouble. Hex offenders in your bubble. Christian cackling, Shannon got receipts. Me and Queen sweeping up the deadbeats. Black nails, big laugh, side eye, deep cut. Name in the jar if you acting like a put. Circle cast tight, mic in the middle. One wrong move, you a roast, not a riddle. They stir, they spill, they drag, they drag. Whole damn flock in a toe tag bag. Offenders, yeah, they came to fry your vibe. From the room to the group chat live. Hex offenders, if you fake, better duck and dive. Hot tea pouring, can't survive. Hex offenders. Offenders, they like that candle talk, that smack. Turn your soft flex straight into a clap back. Which tips hit list, laugh till they cry. Sweet on the real ones, cursed if you lie. Cauldron on boil, that gossip steam. Every bad ex get tossed in the cream. You did dirt, better hope they forget, or end up headline of the episode's hex offenders. Yeah, they came to fry your vibe. From the broom to the group chat live. Hex offenders, if you fake, better duck and dive. Hot tea pouring, can't survive. Offenders. Hex offenders. Hex offenders.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi. What's going on? I'm using my pedophile voice. Well, because we're hex offenders. What I mean, would you like to have a cookie? I got some candy. Get back into the back of my van. Hello, people in the chat. I only see one person in the chat. It's Parlous. Oh, no, there's Lisa. Parlous, can we try to stay somewhat on topic? Last week, I almost sectioned you. No, we got to sort of stay somewhere in the zone. Oh, I forgot Lauren was going to come on, too. Lauren, do you have... Well, just go to join.hexoffenders.live, and I can get you in the little... We'll section you into the show. 5150. Parlous, take care then. Well, you don't have to leave. You just have to act a little more sane. And given this fucking crowd so crazy, I mean, come on. It's not a high bar. We take all sorts of mental degenerates and strange fucktards and all sorts of come one, come all. We'll take anything, won't we? By the way, we recommend you go over to YouTube and listen to us there. Because we give away, discount codes, things like that, but only on the YouTube chat. We don't do it on the Facebook chat because number one, it doesn't always work. And number two, we want to get the YouTube views. Like last week, we got a lot of views after the fact. I don't know if it's because of the time of night we air or what it is, but like people seem to listen. I can hear my husband milling about over there. This microphone's very sensitive, so he's running the whatever the faucet thing is over there. I can hear the faucet. Who's this? Lauren Morris. Okay. So we're gonna get right in, and we're gonna do a lot more of these roundtables, but we're also a call-in show, so we do welcome people to call in with questions. But we're also gonna have, we're gonna try to do surprise guests, if not weekly, just every so often, because it's fun. And it's like, yeah, there's a little more crosstalk, but it is kind of fun to get the different perspectives, And so tonight we have Thalassa Verti. Is that the name we're going by, or is that?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you have other names that I know you by. Everybody's got.
I have my government
name. Is that your dead name? Like the trans people.
It's not like that. I just try to keep my government name,
For the government.
exactly. For magical purposes, I can be, found online.
Yeah.
My
I can
whole
be
internet
anything.
philosophy.
I always wanted the drag name Penny Dreadful. If I were Asian, I would have the drag name Anna May. And we also have our good friend Lauren Morris, who was supposed to be here last week, but she unfortunately had a family tragedy. But
Yes.
we're coming through it. And Deborah, it is very hard for me to call you by that name.
You can call me Deborah.
I always call her Deborah because that's how I know her.
You know what it is? When I first came onto the scene, that was not a good name to have.
Well, it's even worse now. Like people use Deborah almost like they use Karen, but
exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Better than Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Debbie.
Never Debbie.
Deborah is a Gardnerian high priestess, and Lauren is a magical craftswoman who makes the most glorious cords and other things, and is about to have her book published by Weiser, The Crafty Witch's Guide to Cord Magic. Is that?
Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, good. And so we're talking about a few different things today, but I did want to address some of so last week's show really stirred the pot, as I'm sure you can imagine. And we did get into Thalassa, some of the issues of the Gardnerian practice, naturally, because Tracy was here, Tracy Fraschi. And we talked about, I mean, I mentioned we don't really beat the drum on these gender issues because it was ripping initiatory craft into pieces. And frankly, it doesn't really need much discussion out there because, as initiates, we don't really need to put, our stuff is sort of internal, I think. It might be brushed on and things like these discussions like we had last week, but they're really, if you're not an initiate or you're not planning to get initiated, it really doesn't concern you. And even if you plan to get initiated, until you're actually initiated, it still really doesn't concern you. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get to pick who initiated me or how, or, I ended up there and it was tough. There's certain things I just, I'm not good with constraint. Let's put it that way. No, it was a bit controversial, and I got into some discussions with a trans woman that so Gus Dizarega, who's a good friend of the Hex, what have you, presents at various things, and I think he's a college professor, and I think he was or still is a Gardner. I mean, I guess you always are a Gardnerian high priest. Do you know that, Deborah? Is he, Gus Dizarega? Is he? Oh, I'm pretty sure he said he is. I know he's not secret. Let's put it that way. I'm not like outing anything. I think he said it before, but he had posted a really comprehensive discussion reacting to the deplatforming of Byron Ballard that happened when she was uninvited to, what was it, Sacred Space Conference, for saying 10 years ago that.
Is that definitely the only thing? Because I have friends.
All I could find. No, I asked Morgan Daimler, who, even though I don't think it's her fault that she was canceled, and I do appreciate that Morgan was still going to present at Sacred Space, even if Byron was there, which is how I think it should. If there's somebody you sort of have it, I mean, be one thing if these people are out there in the KKK or something like that. And I mean, Jesus, Oberon said he would even let some of those, the Asatru things I might not necessarily have. But, we all have our line. But I don't know. I think unless somebody's so off the wall egregious, I'm not going to not present somewhere because they're there. But, she did support it, Morgan. And I asked her, I said, is there anything else other than this comment that a woman who transitions at 40 is not socialized as a woman the same way as someone who came to womanhood from birth? And I just couldn't see the controversy. And Morgan couldn't. She said she didn't know of anything else. I think part of the issue, from what I understand, is that Byron allowed all these different voices to speak on the subject on her thread. And because some of them were like hypertrophy, or as they say, she didn't delete she let everybody have their say. And, I respect that, because, I'm not like, I sort of, somebody comes on my post on my wall and I don't like the direction they're going, I might just randomly delete a comment. Because I'm not a democracy. But, she was very kind. She let all the different, so people blame her for having those types of people in the conversation. Well, who fucking cares? Let people talk. But, I was talking to this trans woman, and she made some interesting points that, like, who was it last week? Oberon's wife, Rhiannon Martin, said that the government is so viciously coming at trans people that they're on high alert. So, if you say anything that might question the narrative, you might as well be a Nazi. Well, I do sympathize with people, I think they're rolling back gay rights too, slowly but surely.
I don't think that that's questioning the narrative. That wasn't questioning the narrative.
I would agree, but I'm coming at it from where they're looking at it. Like,
Right.
I don't agree. I just, if you question what
I'm not
they
sure how
think,
that could be offensive to anyone.
I have no idea. But I did say to this trans woman, I said, well, we are a dimorphic species. Oh, no, we're not. You always hear how all the biologists now are, you're believing in third grade biology. Modern biologists say that sex is a spectrum. Almost no biologists say that sex is a spectrum. It's just not common. And I would argue that most who do are either doing it because they're allowing their emotional social politics to trump actual science, or they're afraid of being canceled. But either way, this person who's trans is also intersex, and said, well, there's people with XXY and XYY. And I'm like, but there's no XYZ. And it does still come down, and I'm not talking about gender, because that's, second wave feminists say it's a social construct that hurts women. The new non-binary movement says it's a social construct that helps us be ourselves. In both cases, they call it, whatever, social construct. Well, Uncle Bert's mentions parthenogenesis. I mean, we don't have absolute proof of this, and it certainly happens in science. But again, it's an aberration. What I said to this trans woman is that intersex is an aberration. So is homosexuality. That doesn't mean it's bad. Like, being gay is an aberration. It is not the standard. It's not the norm. And it could be some built-in mechanism of nature to cause a herd. Well, not necessarily. A lot of these gays want children now. I'm just not one of them. I told my husband no cat kids, but now we got the cat. But the thing is, we the science is we are a dimorphic species. Intersex, this was one of the debates I had with the trans woman in the private conversation. It was a nice, we weren't at major loggerheads. We just had different opinions. She was not one of those that's like, going to rip their hair out and, breathe fire at you if you say something she didn't agree with. But I don't believe that intersex invalidates the dimorphic species, but rather validates it. So long as you're not growing tomatoes out of your ears and mosquito proboscis out of your nose, you are exhibiting some variation of the dimorphic sex, even if it's you got a little of both because something got screwed up in gestation. And and the trans person said, well, to call it an aberration is to make it sound like something's wrong. And I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. It doesn't invalidate your existence. It just simply says, you came out a little different than the standard, but that doesn't invalidate that there is a standard. If two people didn't
No, and
fuck,
that's not what that word means.
right,
A dictionary would be helpful.
right. Well, there you go. So my question is this. So I asked Mark Hatch, who was going to come on tonight. I don't know. I think they might have plans. I don't know what's going on over there. But let me see. Join.hexoffenders.live. think they had dinner plans. I don't know. So, I asked him because he majored in biology and genetics. So he's got a master's of science, I think. And so I asked him, I said, okay, I took a college biology class over 35 years ago. So, I don't know what the books look like now, but people keep saying that we're spewing out 4th grade, 3rd grade biology. So I said, if I opened today, because he also is a teacher professionally, I said, if today I open up a biology book, am I going to see diagrams of male and female bodies? And he said, yeah. That's still the case. Well, I don't know. If you would listen to this online narrative, you'd think every human body drawing in a biology book is now some non-binary construct. I mean, I don't fucking know. I get gender as a spectrum, all that. So, because gender doesn't exist. Let's face it. There is no gender. Woman used to mean adult human female. Now it really doesn't mean anything. And I'm sorry to say it, but if you can have, if I can ask, and I hate to sound all, what's his name? Matt Walsh. I can't stand him, but he, even a broken clock is right twice a day. If I say, what is a woman? And you say anyone that identifies as one, well, how is that a definition? Like, it's not. So, yes, I think people going back to sex characteristics, sort of make sense. If you can't say what gender is, they're going back to the idea of, sexual dimorphism. So I asked Mark, I said, okay, since I'm not up with biology and apparently we're all arguing 3rd grade biology, if I open
I just, that I had to go back to school and I just took 3 biology classes.
When you open that book, does it show diagrams of nondescript, genetically gender politically correct images, or does it show dick and pussy?
It just shows standard equipment 1 and 2.
Come on, you can say it, dick or pussy. So okay. So now I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, so we've already established that this idea of biology, no longer looking at the dimorphism is not true. I don't know where these biologists are, these activists are talking about, because I can't find them. So, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 wacko out there. So I'm going to go to the next obvious question. If these things are not an aberration, which, as Tabbers Valentine said, aberration isn't a negative word, it's neutral. So if it's an aberration, if it's not an aberration, if these people are right, it's not an aberration. So let me ask you, Shannon, when you open up the page of the book in your biology book, in your collegiate nursing level biology, which means, it has to be on point. It can't be, simplified biology for, grade school children. It's got to be the real thing because you're a nurse. Yes. So when you open up to the page where it shows the female as in the, half of that dimorphic sexual reality, is there a dotted line connected to the neck, follow the bouncing ball, where the second head would be?
No.
There's a reason I asked. No. There's a reason I asked this. I have been obsessed with Abigail and Brittany Hensel for literally for 30 years. I need to ask. Hold on, just give me a second.
Have they been separated?
Hold on, I got to ask Claude of Abigail and
no,
Brittany.
they're married to the same person.
I know, but I'm trying to ask Claude something. Hold on, Claude. Abigail and Brittany Hensel are Siamese twins. Which one is Abigail and which one is Brittany? I think Brittany is the one with the straight up head. I always said which one was the alpha sister. Like the alpha sister is the one that's like, straight, and the other sister is like, and
which one got married?
I'm gonna get hell for that. All I'm saying is they did not get married. The alpha sister got married. That is a very important distinction. Nobody wanted to marry. Like she didn't get. I'm going to hell. I totally am. No, she did not get married. Abby controls the right side of the body, and Brittany controls the left. When you're looking at them face on, Abby is on your left, and she's on their right. So the straight up head, Abby is actually the one with the more upright head. So Abby got married. The guy took the look at the straight up head. I don't know if they do the Jewish thing and use a sheet. Like, I don't know, how that works, when they're fucking, or whose baby it is, because they share a vagina and a uterine system. So I don't know. But here's the thing. If you went out to these so-called progressive biologists that say sex is a spectrum, and you said, are humans a dimorphic species? And they said no. And then you went and asked, are humans a two-headed species or a multi-headed species? Or is there some definition of how many heads a human has? They would all say we're a single-headed species. Well, there's Abby and Brittany teaching in Texas, and they got two heads, and the school pays them a salary and a half. So I think the thing we're saying here is it's an aberration. And just because it exists, like the 0.02% that are intersex or actually, have a few wives, whatever, or however many gays there are, we are an aberration. I'm not offended by that. I don't feel it means there's something wrong with me.
No, that doesn't mean evil or bad.
Right. But the reality is, as Salem's out there fighting over, I guess some business didn't build enough gender neutral bathrooms, and I guess they went for these gender neutral stalls with shared sinks, and because there's not one without a shared sink, and apparently some religions, you can't even share a sink, there's all this. So now they won't let them open, and of course all the trans activists are making it a trans thing, which it's not. And, so we're having this whole discussion of why aren't all bathrooms gender neutral? And first of all, like, talk about something where physiology is king. Unless you're one of those dudes like me that does tend to sit when they pee, like, a woman is going to have a harder time using one of those urinals. I mean, there are physiological variables there. So anyway, I probably went too long on that, but I did want to follow up on, because as long as there are, as long as no one would argue we're a multi-headed species that could either manifest as one head or two, or maybe even three. I don't know if we've encountered this yet. Like those that, well, no, they are also two-headed, but I feel really bad for the ones where they're joined at the forehead, because if you get sick of looking at the other person, I always wondered how Abby and Brittany fought, headbutt back and forth or something. Something's going on. They got mad at each other, and it looked like something.
Oh, yeah, they're still siblings when it comes down to it. Yeah.
But this was
there you go.
Modern statement, though. I think you were trying to say, basically, she really didn't say anything wrong. I'm just not sure where, like you said, I guess people are on high alert right now.
Right, and that's fine. I understand it. I sympathize with it. I told the trans woman, I said, look, I stopped saying, well, I'm saying it now, but I try not to say I don't fuck pussy that often, because, I don't want to hurt your feelings. But the reality is, you could be like fucking Hudson Williams. I don't even think he's good enough looking, but he's the one everybody's talking about. You could look like that. And if you pull it down and there's a hole there, I'm not going there. And I don't think it's like, look, people can identify however they want. I'm not going to tell them they can't be gay. But if you're fucking pussy, I don't see you as gay. I see you as bi. That's my choice to feel that way. I'll still call you gay, just like I'll still call you she, or, I'll respect your pronouns, all those things. It doesn't cost me anything to respect how you choose to identify within reason. If you tell me you're a tree, Keonan Linesdale, who is an actor that was on The Flash, said my pronouns are tree and tree self. Well, I just won't talk to you. Pronouns are designed to simplify the language. If I'm a school teacher and I have 50 children in the class, the purpose of the pronouns is in case I don't remember everybody's fucking name, and little Joanna's up at the, just did her math thing on the chalkboard, and I get to say, oh, isn't she great? I forgot her fucking name, but I can say, isn't she great? Now I got to wonder if it's a she, a he, or they. And that's hard enough. But now you're telling me I might have 50 people with 50 different pronouns? Why don't I just call them all by their name at that point? If this one's Bunny and that one's Kitty and this one's Juicy and Jim, Jumpy or Sneezy, Happy, and the 7 dwarfs. When are they going to be a gender set? It's ridiculous. I didn't want to spend too much time following up last week, so I've kind of gone on. But I want to really get into this thing before we get into the big topic, because there is a big topic. This is something that someone left on Hex. Hold on. This place is dangerous. In a highly crowded tourist area, I don't believe strong hexing spells and voodoo level magic items should be readily accessible for tourists who don't know what they're doing or what power they hold. Real witches believe in the Wiccan Reed. Harm none, do what ye will. You're putting power into the wrong hands of people who don't know the consequences and the rule of karmatic threefold return. I first want to ask, was this Parlous that wrote this? No, I couldn't resist. Sorry. Okay, I don't fucking get this. Like, I love Lorelei for reporting it and telling people. I couldn't even report it. It was too funny. I almost didn't want it to go away. I don't know if it did. Voodoo level magic.
I mean, that's a good advertisement.
Where do we even? Okay, what's your hot take on this, Deborah?
I think it's a good advertisement. But I don't think you should underscore the common folk. I mean, everyone has needs and wants, and everyone needs a little magic in their life. If lighting a candle is going to help you to center and ground and, bring your wish to fruition, anyone should be able to do that. We
candles, but what about level magic? Candles.
I would leave it. It's hilarious.
I joined. I don't know how many of you are in this group. Huh?
Is there a photo of this person or?
It looks like there is.
Look, but I don't know the whole thing. I mean, I will say a lot of people's complaint was about real witches. When I was like 21, 20, it used to annoy me so much when Lori Cabot would say things like, "She's not a witch." She was very, Lori doesn't declare, she proclaims. And I used to find it so annoying. I am worse. I am worse than she ever was. I don't even think, there's people that think, oh, if you're initiated, you're a witch. Or if, like my husband, if you believe in the goddess, I'll call you a witch. If you ain't, like, number one, I don't think you necessarily have to be an initiate. I do think there has to be somewhat devotion, whether to the goddess or the god or the higher power, whatever. I do think there's a religious element to it, but I also do think it's magical. I don't think half these initiates could fucking cast a spell out of a paper bag. So I'm not even sure I consider half of them witches. I'm probably worse than Cabot in that regard. I'm like, I don't think most of these people are real witches, but at the same time, I'm not going to go out there and say it either. I mean, here I might, because this is where I let it out. But, I'm not going to go across social media and be like on reviews and this isn't real witchcraft and this is not culturally authentic voodoo level magic. So, I just, yeah. However, what's funny about it is, here within this, and I think you touched on this, Salasa, with how you said this. When I opened Hex 18 years ago, it was very important to me to understand something most witch shops who fail in Salem fail because they don't understand that 89, and this was when I was on the board of directors of tourism. They did some focus group research, and 89% of the city's visitors included the modern witch as reasons why they came to Salem. So that's not, and up to that point, marketing agencies and city people would always argue that the only people that came for the witch shots of Salem were Wiccans, pagans, and they called them the studs and tattoos crowd. And it was so ridiculous because, it's everyone. Everyone wants magic in their lives. They come into a witchcraft shop or a cult shop or a new age shop. They want to believe that the world is more than inert matter. And somehow in their soul, they know that it is more than inert matter. They know that magic is real. And coming into a witch shop and, getting candles and incense and puppets and voodoo level magic items are ways of bringing, it's re-enchanting their lives. And I believe that everyone should have access to that. As an initiate, obviously I'm not quite at the level of my husband, who's, I always say he's the Ayatollah and I'm the Ayakoka, for those old enough to get that.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm the greedier Capricorn, but at the same time, I want to see the craft as an initiatory mystery cult proceed, but I also want to see magic spread to the world because I think the world needs it. Now, Jewel here makes a point that I want to address because this is something else. Like Mark and I are in this weirdo group called, the hell is it? Witchcraft for Beginners, and it's not really, it's not moderated. So it's not moderated, so I can, post whatever I want there, and it freaks people out. So I advertise there and stuff because there's like 800,000 people on it. And like the people that, Wicca is culturally appropriation. No, bitches, you all appropriated modern initiatory craft and you don't even realize. Well, what about Wiccans who use sage? Well, there's nothing about sage, at least not the white sage, the Native American sage. There's nothing about that in what witches do. I'm not saying there aren't witches who are initiates that don't use sage, but it's not something that's part of what we do. And as for this Wicca thing that people put back to Gardner didn't call it that. I believe it was Charles Cardell in the 60s that called them the Wiccans with an E, Wiccens, I believe. And it was a pejorative. It was meant to be an insult. We never called them so. Maxine Sanders said they would sometimes call themselves that in the pub in the 60s so people wouldn't know what they were talking about. But we're not Wiccans. We never were, and we're not. And I don't even use that word. I know some of you might, Deborah, I don't know. I hate it. I hate it more now as an initiate than I hated it before. And I hate it even more because and I know I'm not picking on you, Jewel, because you wouldn't know, but a lot of people that say this, not all witches are Wiccans. It's like, well, there is Wicca. Even Laurie Cabot said this and got dinged for it 20 years ago, that Wicca was not the religion. And people like, she's saying there's no religion of Wicca. Well, what she was saying is there is a religion. It's just not called Wicca. It's witchcraft. The word Wicca comes from the Anglo-Saxon words Wicca and Wiche. Wiche is where we get the idea of Wicca. And Wicca is a male witch. In fact, some of the people in that beginner witchcraft group said that Gardner called it Wicca because he wanted to make it a male religion because Wicca was a male witch. And I'm like, well, no, Wicca was a male witch. Wicca and Wiche are gender variants of the same word in Anglo-Saxon, which was a gendered language like Spanish and French, not like modern English. You take the gender off, you get witch. It was always witch. So this idea, the Wicca that Jewel here is talking about, is what Carl Llewellyn Westby gave the world through people like Lady Sheba and particularly Scott Cunningham, who took snippets of us, mangled the hell out of them, and spewed it back at the world as pablum. I can only say so much, but what I can say is that neither this harm none nor this threefold is anything of what no one knows what that is. I didn't know what it was till I was 47 years old. I still barely understood it because I tried to recite it back to my husband and I got it wrong. So, it without getting into lots of detail, because I can't, what I can say is this understanding of the karmatic threefold return is some made up thing Scott Cunningham put out there so people in the 80s could feel magical. Great. I'm glad they could feel magical. That's the whole purpose of my shop. But it does not include giving people false information. I don't know why I can't get rid of the comment now. Oh, there it is. So, and let me get this thing off the screen. I mean, so like what is your take on that, Lauren?
I never have. I mean, when I first started, I guess I was kind of Wiccan, but I quickly went away from that. I don't believe in the threefold thing.
Well, bear in mind what you're calling a threefold thing is some mangled thing, but there's nothing traumatic
I
about
see
it.
a lot of people say that it's usually beginners, but I've never had anything to do with it. I don't believe in it.
I think there's cause and effect. I absolutely think there's cause and effect. I also think we're all part of that cause and effect. We're all creating the energy. We're giving energy. We're taking energy. We're manipulating energy.
Mhm.
I think there's absolutely results and consequences and things. Is it this easily quantifiable sort of thing? I mean, cuckoo as I think Phyllis Curott is, and she's really out there. I remember a few years back, she came to visit New Orleans and was talking about how she was going to save the world from her yacht. I weirdly, but she did make some good points. One of which was that, the modern, I would call them neo-Wiccans, this modern sort of Wicca pagan thing that so appropriated Gardner's work and mangled it. It's more like a fear-based religion. Like we should want to not harm people wherever possible because we believe that the world is sacred and magical. Well, she says sacred, I say magical, but the world is a magical place. We want to honor it. That doesn't mean we don't protect ourselves. I think we have an obligation to protect our own. I think magical people are often tribal. I think we have an obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this one. Many of the early Wiccan period. Oh, I hate that word. Like Herman Slater's Earth Religion. I gotta say something. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go there. So, Wade, I love you. That's witch, please. But dude, you talk so much about initiatory matters, and you're not an initiate. You talk more about initiatory matters than all other initiates that I've ever seen argue on these groups combined. Fucking get initiated, for Christ's sake. It will make you
That's funny that she brought up the Earth Religion News, because I collect old copies of those, and I actually just got one in the mail of it. This one's from 1974.
Well, Herman was. I mean, Herman was one of the reasons, as I understand it. Along with Eddie Basinski, Herman was one of the ones that they invented that stupid thing.
But that's funny though, like talking about that, there's nowhere in that magazine that uses the word Wicca. Not at all. They use the
No, Deborah's a Long Island line. She's got a real big ass. They got the bit, they're the size matters initiates. They're the size, because they got the biggest book of shadows, size matters. I won't say whether I did find out, by the way, because I won't read Jason Mankey's book on Buckland, but I did ask somebody, did he mention Buckland's last interview where in the Wild Hunt, Raymond Buckland said that Theos and Phoenix did more damage to the craft than all the witch hunters of the Middle Ages combined? And no, Jason Mankey did not put that in the book. He left that rather important tidbit out of how Buckland felt about how some of the Long Island thing has gone. And I'm not picking on all the Long Island, I adore you and Tracy. But there are things about it that, and that reculement thing, which is where they excommunicate you from an entire line. You can't unring the bell of initiation. Believe me, if you could, there's a few I'd love to do it on, but you can't.
Right.
It just, with all due respect to Neil and the rest of them shilling that, it's just not real. And even Paul admitted once to us, it wasn't real. It's like, he hated it, but, they had to admit, like, this is something that we did. And what's interesting is people like Neil and Paul supporting reculement, they're both Minoan. And reculement, as far as I understand it, was created to get rid of people like Eddie Basinski, particularly Eddie Basinski, who was and founded the Minoan Brotherhood. So I think supporting reculement when you're promoting a tradition created by someone who reculement was created to hurt sort of doesn't make sense to me. So I know Shannon's
to get rid of someone, a problem, if someone you see as a potential problem, or
how do you do? I mean, look, you had that idiot Bravo person, and and I'm sure you'd love to be able to just strike him from anything that was, but do you really think you can? I mean, how do you unring the bell?
You can't.
I think more importantly is we as priesthood, and I say this as a first degree, so I don't have that power to initiate, but if I did, I would be like, I don't think the Facebook comments show up on YouTube. That's weird. I don't know. But someone said they do. I think it forces us as priesthood to be much more mindful of who we initiate. It puts it back on us, and it says, "Oh, you're a little really in the dark now." It puts us. I think it reminds us, be careful what you wish for. As far as when we see these people as potential priesthood, you're gonna get idiots at times, and you just hope that they disappear. Just because you can't take the initiation away doesn't mean they can't sort of, like as Brian says, be blessed far from me. Shannon's probably chomping at the bit for the subject because it really is a good one. I was hoping I'd get more call-in people. Oh, and I do have somebody in the queue that's probably going to ask a question, but Rebecca, we're going to keep you in the queue for a little bit just so that we can get into this topic because I know it's a big one. What is that, Shannon? Since I've been a little bit verbose tonight.
Well, as someone who walks in the magical community and the paranormal community, it's been a buzz with the whole Warren Museum coming to Salem, and I've heard a million pros and cons on each side. And so basically, I guess the first question is like, the big question is who owns Salem? Because this seems to what we keep coming back to with the whole gatekeeping thing, and on many levels and topics, like who is the final boss? A business has the right, as long as they're operating legally, to open anywhere they choose so, as long as they're meeting the requirements of that state, county, and whatever, as far as what the rules of conducting business in that area are.
Well, there's a whole pack here, but I've got to get a water, so I will be right back.
You have that whole Salem contingent that doesn't want Salem tourism to be about witchcraft. Is what it.
But the Warrens aren't necessarily about witchcraft. I mean, obviously, there's been things of nature that fell into it with investigations they did or whatever. But they're paranormal. That's not a witch museum.
I feel like they lump witchcraft and paranormal together, and they want to get away from that. They don't understand that that's the bread and butter. That is why people come to Salem.
Exactly. And obviously I don't have a stake in Salem like I do in New Orleans, but from a tourism point of view, if that is how you are surviving when it's February and 2 degrees there, you're counting on your summer and fall tourism to get you through the rest of the year. Why wouldn't you want things that augment that? I don't get where the disconnect is.
Oh, there's always been this mindset of people in that city that wanted to ditch the witch. I mean, when I met with the former marketing director of the Peabody Essex in 2004, the 13th largest art museum in America, we at the museum do not believe that the witch city identity is economically viable for Salem going forward. So I said, well, Jay, as long as it's viable for me, I'm going to work it like a Vietnamese pimp. So, and a friendship was born. He was at our wedding. So here's the thing, like, even the Peabody Essex now will do these exhibits about modern witches, and then I have that horrible cunt from House Witch represent it, which really annoys me. They could have done it with Lori Cabot or anybody else except that horrible twat. I really hate her.
She must have been the only one available.
I hate her. Like, I would let the Nazi people stay. Like that store. Like, literally, if you gave me a big red button and said one witch shop has to go in Salem, without question, it wouldn't be Pentagram, it wouldn't be Cauldron Black or Coven's Cottage. It would abso-fucking-lutely be House Witch. It wasn't even a question. I asked a certain very super famous witch the same question. I'm not going to name her names. I'm sure you can all guess. Said the same thing. Like, it'd be House Witch. Instantly. Lorelei, same thing. If we could all push a button and one would go, it would be that one.
Is she wealthy?
Huh?
I mean, how does she keep her doors open?
I don't know.
It's like a pet project?
I don't know. I remember going in there the first time thinking I was going to see something like Practical Magic meets Williams-Sonoma, and it was so horrible. And then she came from the back, and I said, okay, I get it, lesbians. Look, just as gays tend to have gotten an excessive amount of the creative gene, if you've been to Provincetown and you've seen their long strip of stores where every lesbian thinks she can paint, bead, or sculpt and usually can't. Look, I'm not saying anything that ain't true. I'm not saying there aren't creative lesbians. There are, but anyway, and then again, I didn't exactly get all the creative gay genes either. So there are exceptions. I'm just saying. It had about the creativity of a fucking slice of stale Wonder
Georgia.
Bread. Huh?
She is no Georgia O'Keeffe.
No, I hate them. I absolutely loathe them. But the thing about the Warrens, Sean was obsessed with them. Like, my best friend Sean Poirier, he loved the house. He got paint chips from the house. The Amityville house. We analyzed it using paranormal equipment, and it did give off all sorts of vibes and things. And you should call in. Hi, Senjak. So we got all sorts of energies and shit off of it, and I think they hit on some things. I do. I mean, I don't know how I feel about Amityville personally. I know Lori thought it was fake. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of their stuff is not real. And if you think I'm ever going to be remotely intimidated or concerned or even remotely plussed about some Raggedy Ann doll, you need your head examined. However, and even if it was real, we're witches. We know how to deal with that. But here's the thing. No, the Warrens didn't like witches. Their view of the world was hyper Catholic, it was like something out of The Exorcist. Everything was demonic, demons were coming to get you. And I remember doing a paranormal conference where I spoke at somebody else's conference in Salem, and this demonologist priest, and by priest I mean one of these people that presents at paranormal conferences calls themselves a Catholic priest, and you go to their Catholic priest website and they're the only person in their entire church and they have nothing to do with the Roman Church, the Catholic Church of Rome. But, this person gets up, whoa, witchcraft is dangerous. I said, you realize you're in Salem, you idiot. So, but anyway, yeah, the Warrens had a very negative approach to witchcraft. But here's the thing. They're dead. I really don't think Elton Castee and Matt Rife and all these other paranormal people that surround their orbit, by and large, yes, there are those demonologist types still around, but they are very much in the minority. Many of these paranormal people are also witches. Yeah, a lot of them are Christians. A whole hell of a lot of them are Trumpies. But they are much less hostile towards the witch thing. So I'm not really concerned about that. I think that this is going to bring people to the city. Everybody's whining about the hours. They wanted to be open till 2 a.m. The city said on weeknights it would be 11 p.m. On weekends it would be midnight. Well, the bars are open till 1:30. And I hear I see them online go, people are going to get drunk and make noise. I'm like, yeah, they're more likely to do that at the fucking 50 some odd fucking bars in the downtown. You know what I mean? That's a stupid. When you make stupid arguments like that, about the drunks, they're going to be drunks on a Friday till midnight. Yeah, and there's going to be hundreds of more till 1 a.m. at all the fucking bars where we're a college town. There's all these young college kids getting drunk, fighting left and right. Is way worse than anything that's going to come out of that.
No, and you see that in those Salem tourism groups that we're in. That's the question that they're always asking, like, where can we go for drinks at the end of the night, or where's the hangout? Where do the locals hang? Like nobody's talking about museums and stores. They're talking about what bar they can go to.
Well, I don't frankly think they're going to get that many people after 11 p.m. or even 10 p.m. Most of the stores close at 6 or 7.
Yeah, the town rolls up.
I mean, we try to stay open later. And of course, in October, we're open till 10 every night, at least, sometimes till midnight. But even in October, many stores close at 6 or 7. They don't have special hours for October. So
it's a New England town with a
right. And so you're not really surprised you haven't opened an occult themed bar in Salem. No, I would do that in New Orleans. I told Brian if we were ever going to touch alcohol, it wouldn't be in Salem. There's so many weird rules in Massachusetts. It's like they really don't want drinking there, so they do everything to make your life better. So it's like, yeah. But so I don't know. I mean, am I worried about the demonic? Like somebody said, Annabelle was linked to Louisiana fires in Louisiana, like at Bloody Mary's property once. First of all, is fucking Grubby Mary making that argument now? Is this for real? First of all, that fire. No, she really gets on my last fucking craw. That fire, she literally is. If you took Stifler's mom and Mother Firefly from House of a Thousand Corpses and sort of grafted them together, you get Bloody Mary. Seriously, that fire happened. God, because I'm the one that found Priestess Miriam's new location, and Utu and I raised like 30 grand on a GoFundMe.
Yeah, I remember all that when that happened. Yeah.
Like 13, at least 10 years ago. It's about 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 10 seems right. Yeah.
Right. And Grubby Mary was in their case in the joint. I remember hearing about it. She was like, so what's
the electrical like here?
Electrical like, oh, don't think I don't know where all the motherfucking bodies are buried. No, Mary was in their case in the joint while Miriam still had it. And
we were all witness to that. Yeah.
No, Annabelle was here last year. That fire was 10 years ago. As far as that plantation fire, I mean, do I really think some plantation fire miles outside of New Orleans was remotely connected to some fucking Raggedy Ann doll? No, Sorry, I don't. But here's the thing. Salem, this is how I always say it, because there are people in Salem that hate any variation of the witch thing, but then there are also people that are witches in Salem that don't like any witch thing that's not their witch thing, including sometimes 1692. But this is what I always say about that. In 1692, the Puritans cast a spell, and the spell was invoking the witch. And when I say the witch, I mean the archetype of fear, of mystery, of women's power, of all things that are secretive and hidden, veiled, threatening and dangerous and magical.
Voodoo
And when you call that up, you don't get to choose the form she takes. And so in 1692, by calling up that witch archetype, we have it all. We have the trials themselves and the history. We have the modern witches and goddess worshippers and spell casting magical practitioners. We have the kitchen witches. We have the Wizard of Oz witches. We have every variation, haunted houses and ghosts and goblins and ghouls and all the things that the witch shares Halloween with, you know, in the traditional sense of, you know, cultural Halloween. So this, once you cast that spell, you don't put that genie back in the bottle. So for all of these years, it has continued to come towards this sense of a paranormal, magical, occult, historical destination that represents all of the facets, including our maritime history and all kinds of other things to do with Salem, because it all boils down to, and this is, by the way, I hope some of you are coming to Hexfest this year, because I'm teaching my first class in the Spirit of Place. And I've been wanting to do this for years, because that's a huge part of it. You know, every place has its energy and you can't erase it. You know, I remember when the Peabody Essex, the marketing director said, you know what, when we had this Dutch designer create the new facade of the museum, none of us intended it to look this way, and we didn't think about it when they showed us the drawings. But yet once it went up, if you've ever walked down New Liberty Street and you've seen the slide of the Peabody Essex Museum, all of those galleries have these brick facades that look like gravestones. Like the whole side of it looks like Puritan gravestones. They didn't intend this. You know, and the head of the former head of the Chamber of Commerce, who was from the Netherlands, says, oh no, Christian, this is what Dutch architecture looks like. Well, so maybe that's what it looks like, but most people are looking at this and seeing fucking gravestones. The spirit of place will out. It always finds a way to reassert itself. You know, it's very true in New Orleans about its energy. And so, you know, to say, well, we don't want this museum. First of all, when 89% in 2011 of Salem's, you know, the surveyed visitors said the modern witch was one of the reasons they came. And of course, you know, 1692 was 97% included it, 94% included Halloween, like 56% included maritime, and only 47% included the vaunted arts and culture everybody wants Salem to be, apparently, or at the time they did. And so, but 84% of Salem chose paranormal investigation, and it included that in their checklist. And I sent that. I never got a response from Matt Rife, but I did. Patty Negri is friends with him, and so I don't know if she ended up telling him, but I said, you need to tell him, he's one of the co-owners of that museum, that 84% of Salem's visitors in 2011 considered paranormal investigation, or paranormal exploration rather, one of the reasons they come to Salem. So to not play to that, because it's got to be even bigger now, you know, and so they were not going to come, and then they changed their mind. Like last week, they put up a video, and of course, there's people freaking out. One of the most annoying ones, you know, and I love Lisa Ainsworth, but you know, she posts a lot of anti-tourism stuff, and she stopped doing it in the group, thankfully, but she does it on her group page, friends only, so I don't care, you know, whatever. But some idiot was on there going on about, what about, you know, Ed Warren was supposedly with a 15-year-old girl, and somebody made a statement. Well, of course it's possible. I don't know. I wasn't there.
That's the first I had ever heard that.
I haven't seen, and I asked her for evidence. I said, first of all, I'm not saying stuff like that isn't possible. I mean, you know, Jason Mankey was Kenny Klein's roommate. What did he walk in on? So, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, it's not true, but if you're going to go around saying so and so was a pedophile, and that was the word that this Valentina Burbank was using, you know, is pedophile, which is a strong word. I've had people say that about me in the court of public opinion with no evidence. So if I get a little fucking salty, it's because I don't think words like that should be tossed around. But she called him a pedophile. So, well, you should at least have a screenshot. You know, every time you say this person's a pedophile, here's this woman's statement. So then we can at least take her statement and see if, you know, we think it, you know, passes the muster or whatever, the smell test, fine, you know, which wouldn't even do that. And what pissed me off is half these people going on have no problem with Raven Grimassi.
I was just going to say that.
And look, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not even bothered by this, but if you're going to be out there and be bothered by it, you know, when he cursed Lori Bruno and I and some other people in the woods, for, I still don't know why. Well, Bruno, I understood because she was bad-mouthing him, but we weren't. We were his friend. But, like, you know, when he cursed us in the woods, well, he claimed that we made a tree fall on one of his priests. So, you know, I'm the tree whisperer. But never understand this. But the thing is when he did that to Lori Bruno up on this website that one of her ministers was hosting, she put his marriage certificate at 20-something years old to a 15-year-old girl. Well, why is it okay for Raven Grimassi to bang a 15-year-old girl and not Ed Warren? You know, half these witches bitching have no problem. They're not out there ripping apart Raven Grimassi. Your positions on crimes and misbehaviors should be based on the crimes and misbehaviors, not, oh, I don't like this person, so let me take a big yellow highlighter and try to find anything that makes them look bad while I'm going to turn a blind eye to even worse activities by people I like. That is I mean, I hate to criticize, but no, I don't. That is most people. I'm not that way for the most part. I mean, we all fall party. I'm sure I have, but I try very hard to not fall into that. You know, wrong is wrong to me. You know, you know, you're not the benevolent pedophile because I happen to like you. You know what I mean? You're not the wonderful you're not a wonderful racist because I happen to like you. You know what I mean? It's just you know, but my feeling is, look, if it would put heads in beds in the type of tourists that we need in Salem, I don't care if they do a topless haunted house with flipper thalidomide babies and amputees, you know, stripping in fucking pasties. If that's what people want to see, I don't think that would bring the right tourists. But, you know, we don't just want tourists. We want the right tourists. But the reality is the people that are going to come for that museum are the very kind of people witch shops would like.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, maybe not the Christians, everyone's demonic crowd, but the thing is, they're not going to, those aren't the type of Christians that follow the paranormal, aren't the types that are going to come protest our shops. First of all, the true, and I don't, you know, I'm not, who am I to say what's a true Christian, but the diehard evangelical Christian isn't going to be involved in the paranormal for a very simple reason. You know, when these reality shows say, oh, Christian, let's do a witchcraft reality show. Look how popular the ghost shows are. I always tell them the reason there's never been a show about witches is because once it gets to the top floor of the networks, they look at this and they say, oh, how are the advertisers are going to react to this? And that's where the division between paranormal and magic becomes much clearer. Most Protestant evangelicals do not understand their own theology. In Protestant Christianity, there are no ghosts. You're either in heaven or you're in hell. It's really that simple. There's no purgatory like the Catholics, and there are no ghosts. Any ghosts would be demons. So
exactly,
actual evangelical Christians wouldn't be going to the Warren Museum. So those demonologist type of whatevers that are fascinated with the paranormal and don't even understand their own theology, they're not going to be protesting our store. So the worst case scenario is you get people that aren't going to shop with us, but at least they eat in the restaurants and keep tourism going. Best case scenario, a lot of people coming from those shops are going to be what I call muggles seeking magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did you have some questions to ask them, Shannon? I'm just sort of rambling.
Well, I'm just kind of elaborating on this a little more. Like, some of what I've heard is, first of all, some of the people are upset that Matt has the control of the collection. Now, I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm not really a person that follows comedians or anything like that. So I don't know a whole lot about him and why he wound up being, for want of a better term, the highest bidder on this.
Money
But
talks and bullshit walks.
right. So basically, like, the two sides of the coin that I'm seeing is the Warren Museum, is that a historical archive, or is it a haunted theme park? And
I think it's
as
a little
an
of both.
outsider, that's what I was just going to say. As an outsider looking in, I think it's both. I really do, because again, I didn't always agree with the Warrens either, but they're a part of popular culture, for want of a better term, and that stuff does need to be preserved.
Those movies are fucking huge. The fact that they went from, like, who was even checking on the Warrens before that?
Right.
No, before The Conjuring came out, how many people even knew who they were? You know, they have helped explode the paranormal interest. From what I understand, like that, oh God, I really hate Steve King from that barbershop and his ghastly wife, Tara. You know, they're freaking out because apparently they don't like, you know, they're part of the Nutless Wonder Gang. You know, they don't like that, I guess Matt Rife is center right, or I don't know Matt Rife's politics. I don't care what Matt Rife's politics are. I care that this museum might bring some people to Salem, you know, because if we're talking politics, this fucktard in the White House has destroyed international tourism with his tariffs. He's destroying domestic tourism with his fucking war and the gas prices, because so many people come to Salem by car, and they're reconsidering that fact because of the cost of gas. So, you know what? If one of these fucking Trumpy motherfuckers wants to counterbalance that idiot's effect on tourism by bringing something that's going to bring people into the city, I'm all for it. You know, it's like, I don't care. I just think it's something I still haven't gone to that monster museum, and I feel like I should, in the Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery. I
love Count Orlok. It's one of my favorite.
I think he was mad that I never went in, and he's always wanted me. And I'm like, you know, you never find the time when you live somewhere. But I always hear amazing things about Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery. I haven't been in the Monster Museum either, but I like the people that run it. So it's probably pretty good too. And you know, it's you know, they're very creative, but like, I don't know, I just, the things that these people get upset about, you know, anything that, like, with all this construction going on Decatur Street and Royal Street in New Orleans, there are businesses that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, you know, Hex is really struggling in New Orleans along with every other business. I mean, you know, we're surviving because we're good at what we do and people like us, but you know, it's hard. It's really hard. And it's like, if somebody said, we're going to bring the Warren Museum to Lower Decatur Street, I'd be jumping up for joy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think they should do a permanent exhibit in Salem and not just go from August to November.
Absolutely. It would be good to get people in, just not October, you know, other months.
Right. And that's where I was going with that, because I think that establishes something outside of that whole Halloween-y thing, because the paranormal community, that's will travel.
That's year round.
Yep.
I told John Andrews, who runs Creative Salem, I said, you know, you're the best person for this. And I put this in his head. I don't know if he's gone anyway, but they should take Winter Island, you know, renovate that giant old hangar, some military Air Force hangar or whatever it is. Renovate that whole area and create something like the Glastonbury Music Festival that starts in April or May. When it's almost certainly not going to snow, so maybe like mid-April, early May, and bookend the tourism. A lot of people don't know this, but Salem tourism used to end in August. Nobody really stayed past August. It was Lori Cabot. She doesn't get the credit for it. They always credit, Patty McLeod and, the Salem Witch Museum and Haunted Happenings. But they only created Haunted Happenings in 81 or 82 because Lori Cabot showed them all what could be done when she used to do her giant witch's ball at the old armory in Salem that's now the visitor center. And a lot of people don't know, our tourism sort of, the first germinations were in 1892. Well, prior to that, right before it, when Daniel Lowe Department Store, which is now Rockefeller's Restaurant, did the first little silver witch spoons. Then in 1948, the Witch House opened, which was the home of one of the judges, Jonathan Corwin. But really, it was the 1969 to 71. I don't remember the exact dates, but that period was when you had Bewitched, and several episodes of Bewitched took place in Salem. Samantha Stevens. You had Lori Cabot come to town, and you had the opening of the Salem Witch Museum. And that trinity created that modern mix of magical and historical tourism. So, Lori Cabot created, our magical community or what have you in New Orleans is centuries old. It isn't in Salem. Lori Cabot created it, and she often doesn't get the credit, nor does she get the credit she deserves for making Salem's tourism go past August. They don't credit us witches for that, and especially her. We've all done it. I've certainly contributed to it as well. I mean, when Sean and I first did Festival of the Dead in 2003, Halloween was all but decimated at that time. The city wasn't promoting it. They thought they could stop it and people wouldn't come. Well, they still came, but there was nothing to do, and there were gang wars and stabbings and all of this, and so for me, I feel like, I don't know. Well, let me ask, Lauren,
I
question.
think it's a shame that they don't protect you all from the Christian fundamentalists that come there.
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all.
It's terrible. I had multiple people come up to me in 2023 when that church in San Diego harassed us and stepped into our circle. And then there were 60 they overhire police they don't need, who didn't do anything. They literally they formed a circle of police around the Christians inside my circle. So it effectively ended our circle. And I had at least 25 witches from around the world come up to me and say, why are the police protecting them and not us?
Yeah.
What about our civil rights? I didn't know what to say to them. I don't think
that everybody's there.
I don't think I've ever been that angry. I went up to the police on a microphone and told all these police officers in the circle I was going to show up at their churches with strippers. I was dressed in witch hats and bikinis. I was really irate. Well, because it's wrong. And then last year, there were this Philip Renner group came. They physically assaulted Sean Kelly, who worked for us in the parking lot, garage, bloodied him. They terrorized Joanna at New England Magic, and got physical with Tim McGuire at the Halloween Museum. They came in and anointed things all over our altars and furniture. And the police are like, well, that's not vandalism. I'm like, first of all,
yes, it is.
Yes, it is. The FBI has had multiple cases where they treated people leaving bacon on the doorknobs of mosques as not only vandalism, and frankly, bacon grease is not as detrimental as olive oil, unless it's cooked, I suppose, and on raw bacon. And also because of the Muslim aversion to pork, it becomes a hate crime. Well, coming and rubbing your oils that you claim will desecrate our altars, I mean, you're openly admitting you're desecrating our sacred things. and that that we sent this letter to the Attorney General of Massachusetts. Great. She's she's a woman of color. She's fighting ICE, and I love that she's doing that. But are you going to be a one-issue Attorney General? 30 years ago, Attorney General Scott Harshbarger banned Jeffrey Fentholt Ministries by restraining order from Massachusetts more than 35 years ago, I think, because the group grabbed Sharon Graham, and this was when her daughter is now a wonderful editor, acquisitions editor at Cross Crow, Lizzie. But Lizzie was just a baby, and they grabbed Lizzie baby carriage away from Sharon, and they were trying to pray over both of them. And the Attorney General banned them from Massachusetts 35 fucking years later, and this woman's a coward. Not one city councilor spoke up about this. It's terrible.
It's crazy.
Absolutely terrible.
That's madness.
Right. But that's, they can whine about a Warren Museum, but they can't do anything to protect us. It's just, and they're playing a really bad game with me, because it's like I've always been sort of at the edge where if you push me too far, I know every legal way to be annoying. Like in 2004, when they wouldn't allow Sean and I to join the Office of Tourism, because I was later on the board of directors with the change of mayors in 2006. But 2003, they wouldn't let us join the Office of Tourism. They said that unanimously the board had voted we did not fit the arts and culture model that Salem wanted to move in. They didn't want to be the witch city anymore, so we didn't fit. So they wouldn't even take our money for membership. So that's when Sean and I hired this softcore vampire porn queen, the Countess Basoria from we Canada, and we had there were posters all over Salem, and she was in a bikini with blood all over her boobs, riding a scythe, looking like she was having an orgasm with fangs. It was so controversial, and everybody was freaking out in the downtown. It made the 11 o'clock news and all the major newspapers. It was huge. And that's when they learned, I think some of these people in Salem have forgotten what I'm capable of, but that's when they learned I know how to win the hard way. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do to stop me. The publicity is my power, and I will use it to turn that city into nothing more than a pit of sin and deprivation, if that's what it takes to say, oh, you can't handle witches? Well, let's give you vampire porn. They'll be begging for witches by the time I'm done. I don't do it before, but it's always there. Like, I always have that in the toolbox. Why do you think these pagans and people like Deborah knows some of these initiates that come at me, and the non-initiates, the pagans that come at me, they never win, because there's always an angle. You know what I mean? And I've made it my point over the decades to learn all the angles of what it takes to survive and to win, and to, if one must scorch the earth, how to do that. I don't like to, well, sometimes it's fun, but mostly I don't like to. But if you have to win, what's the line from Dangerous Liaisons? I distilled it to one simple principle: win or die. I ain't dead yet.
Well, Christian, what do you think is the actual core resistance? Like, what is it that bothers them about the museum that they don't want it there?
Oh, it's not about the museum. It's got nothing to do with it. It's all about ditch. There has been a mindset in that city that hates the modern witch, any sort of thing. There's even witches that hate Jerry. God, I hate her. Jerry Hilton. Why do we have to rename restaurants, Witch Depot and Witch, Witches, what is it? The Witch Tavern, I think it's called. She went nuts over Witch Tavern. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's not Witch Tavern. I don't mind. Who cares? There's a whole mindset that wishes Salem was this little quaint, so a lot of it is the witch identity. I say the majority of the criticism is they don't like anything. They don't even like the witch trial. There was a period where Salem actively tried to not promote the witch trials, and those places like the Salem Witch Museum had to shovel shit against the tide to keep going because there was just always this animosity. And at the time, 20 years ago, the Peabody Essex Museum was controlling the entire marketing narrative for Salem, and they didn't want even the trials. And I had the marketing officer at the time tell me that the board of trustees of the museum felt that they would lose in endowments from all those major corporations anything that they would gain in ticket sales if they were to have a permanent installation of the Salem witch trials. Well, now, I think starting 4 or 5 years ago, they now have a permanent installation.
Right.
And I always felt they should, because they could tell the story more academically. I mean, I love the Salem Witch Museum and some of those places, but no one is going to be able to have access to the type of academics and level of scholarship that an actual museum like the Peabody Essex is going to have.
Well,
so
what do they want the city to be known as?
they don't want tourism at all. And if there is any, they want to be remembered for the maritime. And then, and that's the other thing. There's the people that want what little tourism they want us to have to be maritime related. Like, I don't know how many other little seaports along the way. I mean, our maritime history of Salem is much bigger than any place nearby, and possibly even Boston. It rivaled New Orleans at one point. But there's another side that just hates tourism, and that includes lots of witches. They don't like the traffic. They don't like this. But they were making those same arguments 35 years ago when there were a tenth of the people. So there's the types that are going to complain no matter what.
Right. It's just so ridiculous, because you can't tell me that a good portion of those people aren't making a living off of the tourism.
Well, they don't understand the trickle down either.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
Like the restaurants or the hair salons that all bitch about tourism. And it's like, well, when I had hair, I'd be like, the reason you see me spending money on my hair color and your cut is because some tourist put $1 in my wallet. If I'm here in your restaurant spending money, it's because some tourist put $1 in my wallet. Mm-hmm. So it's so symbiotic. My friend Lisa, like Mark, who owns the tattoo Good Mojo where she works, said to her, we both did, like, okay, you're in Beverly, but you also work 1 day a week in Salem. And I go on these tourism groups and I see people go to Lisa, Good Mojo, and go to Lisa Salem Inc. And it's like, you're benefiting from tourism. Mm-hmm. You just are, so it's like, it's one of the reasons, like, you'll see me like totally name drop people I don't like Jerry Hildebrand or Penzak or these other losers. Whereas I call other people Nutless Wonder and don't name their stores because they're local, because it's mutually assured destruction. I mean, Jerry's local, but no one cares about her. She doesn't own a store. I'm not going to get on her and be like, oh, well, I did say it about House Witch, I suppose. But this is, again, I might say things on this podcast you wouldn't see me say on my socials. And even then, I try to keep it to a minimum, because it's like, if all of us stores in Salem or New Orleans are constantly name dropping each other with hate, it's just going to make people not want to go there.
For everyone, yeah.
Yeah. So even when I do it, the few rarities where I did tonight, it's not really something I strive to do because I think it can have a negative. Somebody asked about a ticket. We're not doing a ticket giveaway tonight, but we are going to do. I'm going to post in just a moment our coupons, but this is only going to be posted on YouTube so I'm going to give you all a few minutes. If you want to get on YouTube, I'll give you a few minutes to get on there, because the YouTube chat is where we give things away. And I think, you're doing a 20% discount.
25%.
Oh, she's being nicer than me. I'm only doing 20. Yeah, but you're a wholesaler. You get a bigger cut of the pie. She manufactures her own product. She can afford to do 20. So she's doing 25% at darkcandles.com, and I'm doing 20% at Hexwitch, and it's however many orders you want to make, but it's only good for 48 hours. I think mine ends on, I don't remember, the end of the 29th. I don't know. When it says the code expires on the 29th, is it midnight or the end of the day. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's still good on the 29th. I said to end on the 29th, but it doesn't give you a time. So I honestly don't know if it's going to expire at midnight of the 29th or 11:59. So I recommend you use it before the 29th.
So just one more thing about the tourism, though. Again, like I said, somebody who walks in both communities, the magical and the paranormal tourism has grown so much in the last 5 to 7 years. And you're with the proximity to the Lizzie Borden house, I can just see the tour groups being set up that, spend the night in Salem, go to this, and then we'll head over to the crowd that you're going to draw in is just topping off the witch crowd. And again, why wouldn't you not?
It's what is it? And visit warlockhouse.com. That's well, we have a 3-bedroom Airbnb that's like totally Halloween tricked out. And when I say tricked out, I mean like there's a crystal ball Alexa speaker that looks like a crystal ball, and you speak spells to it, and candles light and fires go off, and it's really fucking great. But
that's like you're going to have a better chance to get that paranormal tourism in January than you are the witch tourism. Why would you not welcome that in?
There's a huge amount of crossover there. You know what I mean? The magical tourism, yes, it's bigger in Halloween, but there is there's so much crossover. You're a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
People like those. In 2011, 89% of the city's visitors included 84% included paranormal exploration as the reasons why they came. That's got to be huger now. Like in the Hocus Pocus thing, everybody wants to go to see the Hocus Pocus house, and that's not Halloween dependent either. People come all summer long, all spring to see the Hocus Pocus. So we have an increasing number of reasons to come to Salem, and in a tourism industry that is being decimated. So, okay, am I going to prioritize my feelings about the Warrens or his supposed pedophilia I've yet to see evidence of, or any of these? No. If people want to go look at this fucking Raggedy Ann doll and go, woo! I mean, I love when the Voodoo Bone Lady, throwing holy water. No, she went viral. Hundreds of thousands of people saw this video, and she's going, "Go to hell, Annabelle! Go to hell, Annabelle!" I fucking love her. I absolutely just. And she's great, and she understands the audience. She is a magical person. I mean, anybody that shoots her boyfriend 2 different times or her husband and gets away with it, there's got to be some witchery going on there. But she's one of those controversial people that some people in New Orleans like to bitch about. And say, I don't care. Like, she's fun. Always had a good conversation. I like what she's doing. It's what is it? What do they call it? I can't hear.
Voodoo.
There's some stupid
Voodoo level magical items.
Voodoo level magic items. Yeah. So
Lauren, we got to come up with a new line.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
I think it's because Salem is still puritanical at heart. I mean,
absolutely. Well, that's why when we did the Countess Bathoria posters, that was a gigantic to do because as progressive as Massachusetts is, the liberal Democrat, it is very uptight when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
Very uptight.
It's true.
Hold on. I'm going to post those.
But I mean, the thing that strikes me about it, the Warrens are quintessential New Englanders. They were to me, it fits.
It's does it have to be lowercase or all caps or any particular thing, your code, Shannon?
No, it doesn't matter. It'll work both ways.
And
I've been getting my shop ready to reopen.
Oh, good.
what's the URL?
Make
People?
spell cord kits.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I like that, Lauren.
Yeah.
Perform-
And simmer pot kits.
And what's your URL? What is your?
Primitivewitchery.com or primwitchery.com. They'll both get you there.
I should know that. I would always say primitive witchery because people will get, they might put PRYM or, I think words matter even if they're a little longer. I got to show something here. Hold on 1 second. I hope I don't have like ads going. Oh, 'cause I'm not signed in. Oh, you son of a bitch. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I got to get this
I
queued.
want to hear about your cord kit.
Oh, I'm going to have different ones. My book, I think I ended up having 13 different spell cords in it showing how to make them. So I thought I would offer those as cord kits.
Oh, nice tie-in. I like that.
Yeah. That way, when my book comes out at the beginning of July, they can shop for those.
Like,
I've got to get my laser fixed, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's out of alignment. I burnt my hand with
Oh my
the
goodness.
laser trying to fix it. I was like, I can't. I was out there for like 4 hours trying to get it fixed.
Oh, wow.
It took it 4 weeks to heal. I think it lasered all the way to my bone.
oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I believe it though. I do. Those things are no joke.
I know. Luckily, it didn't hurt that bad because it killed the nerves.
One of the things that this whole Warrens and Salem thing kind of made me think about was when Zach Bagans opened the museum in Las Vegas. He caught a lot of flack initially, but they've really embraced it now. And quite honestly, no matter what your opinion is of him, because I know people have a love-hate relationship with him as well. That museum is well done. That man has put some money into that place. He definitely it's not cheesy, and again, that's one of those even if you're not into so-called the paranormal, like if you're into true crime or different things like that, that museum has something for everything, and everything in there has been very well researched. He's not just like, oh, look at this hokey thing. You know, the research is there to back it up. And I was quite impressed with how well done it was.
I haven't
It's
been.
evolved since he came.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like I said, for somebody from my background to see the research that they've done on everything, it's not just he just ran around and said, "Oh, this is demonic. This goes in here." Or this, the research is there, and it's not just there was a demon attached to this box. Everything is represented there. It truly is not only a true paranormal museum, but it also represents a lot of the true crime community as well.
Well, I have a hugely positive opinion of him because he's included me, on multiple episodes, and I've always felt that. While I didn't like the way they came across the first time I was on, where they were like swearing and yelling at spirits and being rude.
Yeah.
No, as far as I understand it, because I only seen the ones I've been on, and Grubby Mary, I saw hers. It was grubby. But no, I thought they were the real deal, and he's very psychic. I thought they were. I was very impressed. I just want to show this video because it really does take this happened in 2004 when oh, how do I add it to the stage and not, I don't know, I guess I just have to add it to the stage. Hold on.
Well, a real scare in Salem. Halloween posters and the fright they're causing in the Witch City. The graphic posters have triggered several complaints.
Let's get right to Christina Hager. She's working this story live in Salem tonight. Christina?
Paula, where do you draw the line when it comes to spooky stuff? Apparently, city leaders and police have been getting a lot of complaints about this flyer posted around the city. It shows a woman covered in blood, dressed as a vampire in a bikini.
It's Halloween time. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Salem, Massachusetts, where a peek through the city's wrought iron fences reveals witchy folklore, a psychic on every corner. Even the parking spaces are painted with witches. People are known to wear spooky clothing. So why would it surprise anyone that these two party promoters are circulating this poster?
She is no worse than Britney Spears. As a matter of fact, Britney Spears shows more.
I don't like it. I think it's horrible.
Vampires are usually fully clothed.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting, really.
It advertises a vampire party set for this coming Halloween season, the very season that puts Salem on the map. We caught up with a vampire and ghost tour. The tour guide?
Yeah, it is a little bloody and violent and suggestive, but sometimes it comes with the territory with the vampire stuff.
People come to Salem to have fun.
They don't come to see maritime and ships. They come to see the things that go bump in the night. And as you can see, our friend from Canada probably goes bump in the night.
And now the poster will not be bumping in the night or the day in Salem, for that matter. It turns out it's caused so much controversy that the poster's creators have taken them down. They've backed down. But it's interesting, they say they've been getting a lot of calls from people asking for copies of this. So it turns out the poster may be more popular in the end than the party it's supposed to be advertising. Live in Salem, Christina Hager, CBS 4 News.
I gotta say, Sean, his mastery of the soundbite, you know, that friend from Canada probably goes bump. Just,
that was classic Sean. That was.
he always had this perfect timing for these sorts of things. God, that was
my favorite part was the lady who said vampires usually wear more clothes.
It's disgusting. No, those two absolutely represent that corner of Salem that just wishes all of this would go away. I just realized we still have this lady sitting there waiting. I'm so sorry. Let me see if she's still there. Hi, Rebecca. Are you there? I don't know.
We might have lost her.
I think she's muted. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna. I had hair. Yeah, no, where did I lose Deborah?
Oh, you did.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I can't hear anything.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
That's what happened to me the last time I was on.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh,
I just can't hear anything. So
well, reload. Can you reload the browser?
No worries.
Oh, here, I'm just gonna just have her come back.
Yeah, go out and come back in, Deborah. That seems to reset it.
That's always the way to go. Let me see if reload and return. Anyway, I don't know what happened to that Rebecca person. No, she's still muted. Okay. Oh, there she is. Hello, Deborah. I mean, Thalassa. Oh, she's muted. Says she's muted.
Oh, yeah, her microphone's muted.
Why can I not see her?
I don't know.
Deborah? Hello. I don't know what's happening. Oh, there she is. There's another version of her. Okay.
I can hear
Hello.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There was just no sound after the video.
Yeah, but you got to turn your phone sideways.
Right.
Because it looks. Yes. Hair. And I had too much white makeup and those stupid Dickinsonian clothes Sean had me buying, where I looked like I just fell out of some.
I think you look adorable.
I was the ghost of Christmas cunt.
Oh,
bless.
Panda the torture clown says, "I hope you're having a wonderful night." Well, that's amazing. What do you do with a name like Panda the torture clown? I've been getting all these. Oh my god, the AI stuff that shows up, and because you get those reels in AI, and I know we're supposed to hate it, but some of them, I mean, they got people like they like digging into a wok filled with rats, and then they eat the rat, and it looks real, and it's just so gross, and I'm like, I can't turn away because you got to watch.
Posted that one.
Oh yeah, rat. Oh yeah. Oh, some of them. Oh, this was the thing I wanted to get into. I need to do I need to do an Applehead song. I have one that I'm going to keep in the barrel. I haven't made it yet, but let's just say it. It might be about closing the barn door. I'll just say that. I don't know. But there are potentials that may sit that no one ever sees, but they're secretly sitting in servers, waiting for the right moment to unveil. But I am sort of interested in trying to do one about someone that people actually know. Like that one, I'm a vessel of the goddess. And the goddess gets applause. That's over 1,300 views now.
Because even if they don't know who she is, they all know somebody like her.
Right, but I want to do one that someone actually knows. Like I've got to think of like Kris Jenner, or I don't know, like somebody that it'll be funny no matter what. Pretendian just went over 600 views. Wow, Pretendian.
Oh,
So one.
So I don't know this person. I know that she was on my friends list forever, and then she unfriended me or blocked me. Became a hater, and she's part of the genre, the Nutless Wonder crowd. And Mambo Mira, or some sort of, I think her name is Mambo Mira. And I guess she's biracial. I mean, she looks white, married to a white person. Everybody in her pictures is white people, but I don't know. She's about her culture, and so people were going at Applehead because he uses AI for his flyers. And these people get so vitriolic. I mean, Lauren sees it all the time too. It's like, well, they're pulling their hair out, and you're on fucking Facebook. First of all, before AI became a thing, they had data centers just to run all this social media everyone's so addicted to. And you never see people going, how dare you use social media? X number of ounces of water get used every time you use social media. But now it's totally driven by AI. If you watch an ad,
really, every bit of it is.
If you watch an ad on Facebook or Instagram, its algorithms are driven by AI. So and you don't pay by click on Instagram or Facebook. You pay by impressions, which is how many views. So you don't have to click the ad. You can view the ad, and that will cause you to make money for Facebook based on AI algorithm. So to be on Facebook and be screaming at people to the level, look, I get the criticisms of AI. I have quite a few myself. But if you're screaming about this on Facebook, it's kind of like sitting in a bar, holding a martini, and lecturing people about alcoholism at the bar. It's just, you're just going to look like a complete fucking retard. So, like, fine, if you want to look like a retard, just know that anybody that knows how much of data centers are running social media and all the other things we use every day, you know what I mean? You just look like a Riri.
I
So,
had my website through Etsy pattern, so I moved it to GoDaddy, and GoDaddy, my website on there is made completely through AI.
and so are so many people. Like, a lot of these people secretly use it and don't tell you.
Mhm.
But I was waiting for how long this argument would pop up. You know, because nobody is as retarded as the hyper woke. Like, no, I mean, look, I will say I tend to dislike the far right more, you know, and the QAnoners kind of are Riris, and of course all those Christians that believe in young earth creationism and that the world was created in 4004 BC are probably the highest form of retardism. However, retardation, I guess it is. Thank you, South Park, for giving me back that word. No, I don't. I just like it. I just like the way retard falls off the tongue. So, so yes, I am more scathing of, you know, the far right and the QAnon tartary and, you know, young earth creationism, but the wokey pokies do have their own level of retardation. And the way they can justify their exceptions is so amusing. So regarding AI, you know, I made an argument recently that AI, creative generative AI, the kind of AI that creates images, and yes, that does use more resources, but that kind of AI, the generative, democratizes the ability of small business to compete in advertising to a degree, I might add, that hurts me, because that was always my edge. I taught myself web design and development over 30 years ago. I taught myself graphic design. I taught myself marketing. I taught myself basic PHP programming and JavaScript. I taught myself all of these things. My education was in politics. I don't have a single minute in a room well, wait, I think the phone company sent me to a Dreamweaver class. I think I did take a Dreamweaver class once, you know, just because everyone was taking it. I already knew how to use it. There was nothing I learned in the class I didn't already know. So all of these things that gave me an edge over my fellow small business owners are largely gone. You know, thankfully, it's really hard to use Facebook and Google advertising, honestly. So, you know, to use it well. And, you know, if you're going to do conversion tracking, you probably won't learn how the way I do. You know, there are edges that I still have, including my ability to use AI in a better way than most will. You know, like the Egyptian site, I used AI to write it. And we still, by the way, have 2 cabins left on the boat. Deborah. Lauren, I know they both. And the reason it doesn't sound like it was written by AI is I uploaded mine and Brian's books and had it follow our way of writing and write it that way. And so I did do corrections and tweaks, but it really doesn't sound like AI writing because it followed, you know, it wasn't just writing from scratch. So if you learn how to use it, but it does democratize. You know, it used to be that only top level, you know, agencies could afford the type of photography and creative that would really sell. You know, all these, I know I'm going to offend some. I don't care. It's the fucking truth. Most of these artists whining on Facebook about the effect of AI on art, and most of the photographers whining about the impact of AI on art. I'm sorry to both of you, but I worked for one of the top advertising agencies in the world, and not a one of you would get hired. The person that I hired as an in-house designer had a graphic design bachelor's and a master's in fine art and sucked. He was the best I could find, but he sucked. He sucked but he was the best. Shannon's seen some of his labels. Like they are fucking.
I was like, Christian, we can't use this.
Remember the
design one
glamour.
of the boards?
Yeah,
Did he
yeah.
design-
Oh yeah, that Anubis board. And remember the glamour.
The glam witch tags, yeah.
I had a master's in fucking fine art. No ad agency I ever worked. So sorry, people. You know, yeah, and most small business owners can't afford to hire even I'll design your homepage. And even if they could, they're going to get a better job done by GoDaddy's fucking fake AI thing than most of these people on the internet that call themselves artists. If there's anything I've learned hosting karaoke, being a witch, being a pretty good writer and the whole 9 yards, and a singer, and all of those, is everybody thinks they're a fucking singer, a witch, and a writer. And almost nobody is. So, and I worked at the kind of place where, so I finally, because Lorelei, she had these horrible pictures done by some lady that came out to her house. I kept telling her, why do you not run their portfolios? So I finally forced her back to Scott Lane's. I was like, Scott is the only photographer that I know whose lighting is always going to look great. Everything's always going to be spot on. I know what I'm going to get. And he was a little stoned at our wedding, so I wasn't thrilled about those wedding photos. But overall, this guy's going to do a bang-up fucking job because he understands the type of photography that an ad agency is going to want. So, but I finally heard, so this Mambo Mira comes out because everybody's going off at Applehead. So she gets on there and makes this long diatribe, which she's now done a video on as well. We should stop attacking marginalized people who use AI. If you're a person of color or trans or LGBTQ, though I almost guarantee you she don't include us white male. First of all, in the LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. And I hate the word queer, but I'm going to use it now because this fucking letter thing sounds like a Wi-Fi password I can't remember. So when they're talking about queer as marginalized, we fucking white male faggots are always at the back of the bus. We really are. Like, we're not included in any of that. So if it's okay for marginalized people to use AI now, but everybody else has to stop, first of all, when you're talking about retarded arguments, even if you could argue that that's true, that if I'm a black person, I'm allowed to use AI for my flyers, but if I'm a white gay person, I can't, or maybe if I'm a cis white whatever, I can't. Well, even if you could make that argument make sense to me, and you never would, you're never going to sell it to people. You are never going to sell, I'm going to go there. You are never going to tell some fucking fatty who's spent the last decade trying to angle herself so she looks thin, when now she can just push a button on AI and she can drop 50 pounds right out of the fucking gate. You think she ain't gonna do that because she's white? Am I crazy? Like, it's just, the reality is I got makeup on. I spent all the time on it. And guess what? I went looking tonight for something that would do what Adobe Premiere has because I'm getting this weird breakout and it's like red spot. So I'm like, how do I remove in Premiere? I can remove the red like strategically with filters, but I can't do it with this. What is this? As an art major, I have a strong opinion of what makes a good artist versus a horrible. Well, not for nothing. My employee was a fine art. It had a master's in fine arts. God, the guy was terrible. And again, art is subjective, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about the kind of art creative for advertising, it's not as subjective. You need what you need.
Right.
You need to get what you need to get. So if I need, I had to go, I love the AI cover for, what's her name? Miss Aida's Figural Candle Spells book that we publish. But I didn't want AI because I was afraid that Amazon was going to ding it in some way, even though they don't currently ding it. They do ask if you're using it. So, I hired this guy in India. I could not find an artist nearby who could do that particular style. And, yeah, I guess some artists would be like, well, I can't use my style when I want your style. Like if I decide I want this particular smudge painty look, and you can't do the smudge painty look, well then, this is advertising. You're going for a concept, you're going for an idea. This isn't about art in the more museum gallery sense of art. This is, I need something in the style of, fucking know, Salvador Dali. I want it to look like all these floppy clocks or, whatever. And if you can't do the floppy clocks, well, you aren't the person for the job. It's really very mechanical and transactional along with creative. So, yeah, it's a very different challenge. But now the argument, so, they're trying to shut up the screamers and divert them all to the white men. So you can still scream at the white men for using the AI, but don't talk to a black person or a gay person or a trans. Well, no.
I think it's just people are frustrated that jobs that humans do are now being done by a computer. So people who make their living doing that.
Where do I begin? Outsourcing, industrial revolution, computers, fucking. Like
I always use the telephone operators. There's nobody sticking to connecting our calls anymore.
These ships have been sailing for hundreds of years. Like you just, when something is so revolutionary and innovative, because I'm old enough, as I am, most of you, we're all in generally similar age ranges, I think.
Yeah.
But so we were all there when the internet came out, and that was going to be the end of the world. And then online shopping was going to be the end of the world. And cookies were going to be the end of the world. And Y2K was going to be the end of the world. And it was all the end of the world. And everything was going to be the end. And people were screaming at each other over all those things too. And
yeah, we're at 2 minutes, Christian.
So, yeah, it's for me, for all of my critiques of AI, and I do have lots of them, it's like any other tool. I hated most websites when they came out. They didn't feel functional. They weren't user-friendly. They just weren't visually compelling. But I never blamed the web for that. I simply said, okay, people are misusing this tool. How do we, get ahead of that? Any message that our guests here would like to say or promote or something you want to mention before we sign off for the evening?
Buy my book.
The Crafty Witches
Guide to Cord Magic.
Cord Magic.
And when will that be available?
July the 6th.
Okay. And what about the kits?
I am working on those now. So I'm hoping to start listing them within a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
And Deborah, do you taking students? I know you run a coven.
Yes, it's Coven of the Mystic Rose, Philadelphia area. We also service Bucks and Montgomery too.
Do you have a website?
We're on Mandragora Magica.
Oh, Mandragora. Is it Mandragora Magica?
Mandragora.
Mandragora. Oh, I thought it was Mandragora. I know on Doctor Who they called it Mandragora. Remember the Mandragora?
Athame. No, it's Athame.
I always say Mandragora, but whatever. That's a wonderful directory too. So, that's a great place if you're looking for some old school covens. And I think you might have some new school covens, but I think it is largely made up of, our more traditional
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not voodoo level like the stuff at Hex.
Voodoo level items.
Dangerous.
Wait a minute. Annabelle is coming for you, Salem, Massachusetts. You must evacuate before this terrible doll comes to Salem and eats your soul. Annabelle is a pedophile doll.
Oh my God.
Dolls can be pedophiles. I don't know. They're in a good position. I mean, they got the kids right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if there was going to be one, Robert the doll probably would be.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.